I'm Darlene and welcome to my channel Super at 60. I'm so happy to have you guys here today. Today is a really fun day, so much fun. I have two recipes that I want to make for you. Both of these recipes are recipes that I found on the back of a box or a can or a package somewhere in my grocery store. So these are new recipes. One of them I've had something very similar to, very similar to, but I'm gonna go ahead and stay as close to the box recipe as possible. You know me, I'm always skirting off here and there. The dessert recipe is white chocolate mousse. Oh, it's so cute. And they're the little miniature graham cracker crumb crust, you know, the little miniature pies. They are so stinking cute, just adorable, and I cannot wait to decorate them and to serve them to my family. We're gonna have this for dinner. And also, another thing that is special today is it is a collaboration, but it is with Leslie over at The Farming Pastor's Wife. Now, a lot of you may know her and some of you do not. Do yourself a favor and check out Leslie at The Farming Pastor's Wife. She's absolutely precious. She has been such a dear friend to me throughout, almost from the beginning of my channel about 3 years ago. She reached out to me to do a collaboration with her. So who does that? Leslie does that. Make sure you go over there and check out her channel. Let's get started cooking. The chicken that I'm using today, actually, I forgot to take it out last night. So it was frozen. So what I did was just fill up a pot of water, I put it on the stove, and I just kind of put it on medium, and I let it come up to a boil, and I just kept an eye on it. It just took a few minutes, really, just to where it was at the point where I could get a knife through it, because I want to cut these. I'm using chicken breasts. You can use chicken thighs, chicken legs, whatever you want. You can use chicken breasts with the skin on and the bone in, and if you do use that, which is really kind of ideal, you might just want to chop them in half, go right through the bone, keep the skin on and everything, because we're going to brown this chicken first. But my chicken is boiled right now, but it's not completely done. I'm going to take it out, just dry it really well with paper towels or a towel or something. If your chicken is like chicken thighs and has skin on it, yeah, you can put it directly on a pan, you know, if it's thawed, and you'll be just fine. Here, mine were not. They were frozen, so I'm just taking a towel instead of paper towels, because they can make a mess sometimes on the meat, and I'm just making sure it's nice and dry. Now, here's the bacon. This is the important part of the bacon. Make sure you get it really toasty brown, golden brown. Don't let it be rubbery or anything, because this is key to keeping yummy bacon in a soup. And just take it out with a slotted spoon. Now, my chicken, I'm using chicken breast. Just cut it right down the middle, and then each of the pieces, slice them like you would, as though you were going to make a sandwich out of a roll. And I would do that. I think I used a total of, the recipe calls for 3 pounds, and I used 3.5 quite good size chicken breasts, and it really was perfect. It was perfect for everybody. Yeah, but again, you could use those chicken thighs too, or any kind of chicken you like. You could probably even throw chicken legs in there if that's what you have. All right, and here I'm going to go ahead and put my nice dried chicken breast pieces back into the bacon grease. If that's a little bit too much bacon grease for you, go ahead and take it out. That's just fine. But boy, do I get scolded by you guys if I get rid of my bacon grease. I hear it all the time. Bacon grease is gold. What are you doing? So I went ahead and left it in there, and it was just fine and so flavorful. Go ahead, a little bit of seasoning here. I just use a good old salt and pepper, and I'm going to let them sit and get nice and brown on one side. I'll turn them over, and put a little more salt and pepper on the other side, and just get nice and golden brown just for a few minutes. These are basically cooked already all the way through, so it should not take too long. I just wanted to make kind of a quick note here and to tell you something else. I found this recipe on the back of a beef broth carton, and yet it's a chicken dish. And I have found chicken dishes, beef dishes, excuse me, on the back of chicken stock. Please know that you can use chicken stock, vegetable stock, or beef stock, or broth, or bone broth, interchangeably with those meats. If you want to have a veal or something, I would use like chicken stock with that, or vegetable stock. You can do that. It is not a problem, and I thought it was really interesting. I've always thought that all my cooking life, you know, how I interchange those. I generally have chicken stock, homemade chicken stock, or beef broth, or chicken broth, bone broth, more than I do any kind of beef, because we eat more chicken and I have more chicken bones to make stock with. So anyway, so now you know that. So, all right, now for the liquid to cook this delicious, it's kind of a stew soup thing, and it's just so intensely flavorful. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the secrets of this dish, of course, one of the liquids is going to be that beef broth, and I'm going to be using about 2 cups of that. The other is beer. Believe it or not, it is the beer. Now, I love cooking with red wine. I love cooking with white wine. I love when the alcohol cooks completely away and you're left with that warm, delicious, buttery flavor of the richness of the wine that you choose. And it doesn't have to be an expensive wine at all. I also despise beer. Generally, I do. The smell of it, and you know, we don't drink it, but it changes. It's like magic, really. It changes a recipe. You will not believe how delicious this recipe is by using beer. And there's one other thing I use beer for, and that is for beer bread. If you've ever made like a cheesy dill beer bread, oh, it is so good. I'm gonna have to make that for you one time. I made a dish quite a while back, and I had to use beer in it. And it was a certain kind of beer that was needed, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I have no idea. I'm completely not a connoisseur of anything like that. But it came in a 6-pack, and I needed 2 bottles for that. If I remember, this was like a year and a half ago, if not more. Gosh, this is the same beer. This is the same beer, and there's still 2 bottles sitting in my pantry. So I'll have to come up. Maybe I'll make that beer bread for you so I can get rid of this beer. But that's funny. A 6-pack of beer has just been sitting in my pantry. That's just the way we are. All right, it's coming along just beautifully. I'm going to go ahead. I flipped it and let it sit in here just a little bit longer. It's just really consumed a lot of that delicious bacon in there, all the liquid. So I'll go ahead and take all the chicken out, and we'll add all our other components in, and this delicious soup and a stew is going to be so delicious and done in no time at all. All right, here you want to make sure that all your chicken pieces are out. Just set them aside. And now you want to add in your onions and those potatoes that we cut up earlier. Just stir them up enough to get those onions translucent. Add a little bit more salt and a little pepper if you like. And now you want to add those liquids in. There's that beautiful golden broth and those 2 11-ounce bottles of a good golden dark German beer will be perfect in here, unless you opt out and want to go for the extra stock. And that's where you would put it in right here. Give it a good stir. And at this time, you also want to put back your chicken pieces, no matter what kind of chicken you have selected for this dish. Put a lid on it, and it will just sit there for, oh, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Just keep checking. Make sure that, of course, first that the chicken is done, and make sure that your potatoes are good and soft. Then you take the lid off, and you throw in your cup of sweet, delicious frozen peas, and put in most of your bacon back in, because I always like to keep a little bit to the side to sprinkle on top of each of the bowls that I serve, and give that a good stir too, and your soup is just about done. Look at the rich golden broth that you have created here, and it looks nice and thick, and it was too because of the starch from the potatoes. It's absolutely not only delicious, but it was absolutely so beautiful just to look at. And I think we're going to go ahead and start dessert now, but in between I need some counter space, so I need to wash up some of my dishes in my sink here before we get started on that delicious white chocolate mousse tarts. They are really special. You'll see. We're coming up right now. Okay, we're going to move along to this incredible little sweet dessert. Those little graham cracker crust pie, little mini pie crust. I love them. They make some of the cutest desserts. And you know what? I think people generally love being given their own piece, you know, kind of like kids. We just like that. So yeah, I think these are, I use those often when I have company coming, or I know when my kids were little, I used to use them with just some chocolate pudding and some Cool Whip on them, you know, just for a special night. Somebody came home with a good grade or something. There was something a little extra special. And this is really kicked up a little bit. I'm using a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And in that, I'm going to add, oh, I think about 6 ounces of white chocolate. Okay? Yeah. Yum. We're just going to let this melt down. And as soon as it is melted, it won't take very long. Keep your eye on it, okay? You don't want it to get burned or scorched or anything. It just takes a moment. This recipe calls for a half teaspoon of almond extract. I know a lot of people don't like almond extract. And if that's you, then go ahead and add vanilla. That will be just fine and equally delicious. Okay, let's finish up these delicious white chocolate mousse tarts. Oh my goodness. All right, my chocolate is just getting nice and coming to room temperature. The heated chocolate. I'm just going to whip these up to nice soft peaks, maybe a little bit more than soft peaks. Just make sure I like to keep my batters nice and cold in the freezer till I'm just ready to use it, and my heavy cream as well. So we'll go ahead and get this beat up here. Okay, my chocolate is all cooled down to room temperature. I'm gonna pour right into the whipped cream. When your filling is nice and creamy and smooth, just dip in and put a little bit into each one of these little graham cracker pie crusts. They're so adorable, and decorate them any way you like. I just put a little white chocolate and some sprinkles. You can put fresh fruit. It would be just absolutely delicious. Now, it calls to make 12. The recipe calls for 12 of the tarts, so you'll need 2 packages, but I only bought 1 package. But in my pantry, I had a chocolate crumb crust, so I went ahead and poured the rest of the filling in there and put on some chips, white chips, and some little sprinkles there, and it was just, oh, it was so good with the chocolate crust. It was absolutely delicious. Okay, well, clean my hands off a little bit. That was a wonderful afternoon of being in my kitchen. I enjoyed myself so much. I'm probably a sticky, stinky mess, but that means that dinner is going to be extra good if you spent that much time in it. You know, generally, you know, when you come here, you're going to get a simple supper, because that's basically what I do. I love simple suppers, but every once in a while, I like to step out of that box and I like to make something a little extra special. Not that it's difficult at all, it's just a little extra special. Something you could absolutely call company worthy. Have your best friends over, your best company over, and for me, my family is coming for supper, and I'm gonna serve this to them, and I just can't wait. Please make sure you go over and check out Leslie's channel, The Farming Pastor's Wife. I'll have the link to her video right below. Thanks you again for being here. Hey, if you're coming here for the first time from Leslie's channel, I want to welcome you. Please, if you'll press that like button and subscribe. I would just be so thrilled to have you all with me each and every time I upload a video, knowing that you're there. I love your comments. Leave me a comment and share my video if you can on all your socials. And I'm exhausted. I'll see you guys soon. Bye now, and Lord bless.